some friendly advice from somebody who has been in the insurance industry for over 42 years. Me. There are situations where, as an agent, we have to go back to the carrier and ask the carrier for help. Could be a refund, could be a adding or changing of a vehicle, could be adding or deleting an additional driver, could be making an address change, could be making all of these changes to the policy that can affect your premium. And the carriers do, on occasion, run reports. Okay, they run your address. They check your address to see if there's any drivers that are at your address that you haven't told them about. They check and see if there's any vehicles that are titled at your address that you haven't told them about, or you haven't told the agent about and the agent hasn't told them about. So they do these checks. We're not notified as agents when they do these checks. They just do them. And there are occasions where they find drivers, vehicles, things that are inaccurate, and they will either send you a letter, or if it falls within the guidelines that are allowed by the state in which you live in, they can change your policy. They can add a driver. They can add a vehicle. Yeah. And they'll send you a communication, and it'll say whatever it is. Or you'll get a bill, and your premiums will have changed. And then you'll call your agent, and the agent will then make an endorsement, process an endorsement to catch up with the carrier, make the change on your policy if it's required. Or, in some cases, challenge what the carrier has done, which means documenting, communicating with the carrier, and then the carrier could potentially come back and ask for more documentation. It's just not a quick process. As much as you would think it would be, it is not. And in the world of insurance today, nothing moves quickly. Nothing. There are carriers now that won't even let you bind insurance. You've got to go to them and say, okay, can I have a quote? They send the agent a quote. The agent sends it to the client. The client approves it. Then the agent sends a bind request back to the carrier. The carrier underwrites it, reviews it, and then says yes. And so the policy is then in place, bound and in place. It's not like it used to be where an agent could go to a website, not all of them, go to a website and get you a quote, and then you approve the quote, and then the agent goes in and does her thing or his thing, and he binds the policy. There are still some that do that, but there's a lot that don't anymore. There's a lot that have taken away what happens in the agent's office. Instead, it's not in the agent's office anymore. It's at the carrier level. So here's my advice. Have no set preconceived notion how long any sort of questioning or challenging the carrier will take. I've seen it take 2 days. I've seen it take 2 weeks. I've seen it take 2 months. I've seen it take months. The agent has to work within the required guidelines and processes from the carrier. It's part of the contractual agreement between the agent and the carrier. In other words, the agent has a step that they have to go through for each one of these situations, and there's no deviation. None. Agents can't try to circumvent it or go around it or any of that. And these things can take time. Some of them can take, as I said, a couple of days, a couple of weeks, a couple of months, up to months. And there's nothing that we can do about it. We can call and say, what's happening? Everything should be documented in an email. Why? So if there's a challenge or a problem, you as the customer are protected when the agent does everything with the carrier via a written communication, because then why? Then there's a paper trail. Then you and the agent have a way to go back to the carrier and say, here's what we did. You can't just arbitrarily do this because you were notified it in writing, and here are the copies. Now, I've seen on numerous occasions this year where the carriers, the client gets really impatient. Well, let me say this first. If as an agent I call a carrier and call up and go, demand, 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 demand. Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? This is unacceptable. Your timing is too slow. And make all these demands. All of that is taken into account when my contractual agreement comes up for renewal. So as an agent, you're never going to piss off the carrier. Because if you piss the carrier off, you don't get to write the business for the carrier, which means you potentially can lose revenue because you don't have another source for your clients. All right? So as an agent, you never piss off a carrier. Period. End of discussion. It's just not done. You can question, but you can't piss them off because they hold all the cards. Okay? So you can challenge it, but it's completely and totally out of the control of the agent how long these things last. And it is unreasonable to expect as a consumer, and I'm one and I'm an agent too, there's things that I don't do for myself that I get from somebody else. It would not behoove me to call up my agent and say, well, I don't like how long this is taking, so guess what? I'm going to just take my policy and go somewhere else. Guess that you're well within your jurisdiction to do that. But before you do that, I would just give you some food for thought, especially if you work with an agent that has lots of experience. You're not going to get the same thing that you've got already. And if you're willing to just not take that into consideration, then by all means, it is your choice. At the end of the day, it is your choice. But just remember, the agent can only work within the guidelines and the requirements and the processes set forth by the carrier that you are questioning as a client. Could take 2 days. Could take 2 hours sometimes. Could take months in other times. Just a little bit in FYI. Many blessings.